everyone, my name is Richard Maidla, and in this quick video, I'm going to be going over a more in-depth demo of the application that myself, Jacob, and Jason talked about during our presentation at Cognite's Impact 2026 conference here in Houston on June 10th. Now, we ran out of time on the stage, so I know that there was some interest in what we had developed, and I wanted to go over that in a bit more depth and also showcase what we managed to set up in just 3 days, realistically. That is a fully functioning application that, had things not gone differently with our previous employment, we certainly would have implemented an application, if not this exact one, something very similar to it that we would have leveraged. So as you can see, though, there are several other applications that I developed in preparation for Impact. So I will be creating other videos and showcasing those and sharing those over the course of the next week or so as well. So keep an eye out for that. But for the time being, we're just going to go over the Find to Fix application. And you can see I'm already here within Cognite Data Fusion, within the Flows component here at the top. And I'm within the custom apps section. So this is where all of your custom applications will get published using the new Flows process once your people are certified in Flows. And then as you publish, it gets vetted by Cognite so that there is some security and check as to what's being published, because this does enable quite a bit of capability, and we just need to make sure that we're mindful of that as we're publishing these things. So I'm going to jump into that. I'm going to minimize this sidebar here. So this is the Find to Fix app. So as Jason had mentioned during our presentation on June 10th, the intent here really is that as we were going through in our maintenance, reliability, and integrity space, the key workflow is finding issues and trying to address them so that we could maximize our production uptime. So the Find to Fix really tries to address that as to how do we find those key challenges that we're facing and then track those to fixing so that we have a log of what's been done to address the issues that we're seeing out in the field. And that can come in numerous different ways, right? So what we typically had in our previous employment was operational records, what would have been things like notifications or work orders that would be indications of failures in the field, right? So if something happens, then a notification gets raised, usually what we called a root cause notification, and then that could be raised here. So within this app, you could then look at those notifications, see the details of them. All of this is being pulled directly from Cognite's data model, right? So anything that would be available within the data model, you could surface within this card. And from here, I could go ahead and create a case. I could also see existing canvases within Cognite. So this is something that if someone had already gone through and started an RCA or started an investigation using Cognite's digital workbench, which is Canvas, you'd be able to surface those here, see those canvases, and then create a case from that. The other avenue that we created in here were observations. So that's an integrated part already of Cognite Infield, where if someone sees an issue out in the field while they're executing a checklist and something's off, like what we were doing back at our previous employer was requiring that an observation was raised. That way you could tag photos to it or whatever. So the observation comes, and now I should be able to click this. And this was the image that I took on stage during the conference of the Find to Fix. And this was Jason's famous slide. So here we've got some details associated with the observation as well. And from here, I'd be able to go and create a case. Now, you can imagine that you could expand this out to be however your company captures information, whether those are alarms coming in from offshore, if you've got a safety management system, HSE system, where you're capturing issues that happen or incidences that happen out in the field, you could have those be brought in and then go tracking fixes to those as well if they had production impact or anything like that, or maybe operational impact. If there's some other avenue where you're capturing things, whether it's in PCMS, like an integrity system or whatever the case may be, essentially, however your team tracks or initially captures an event, and then you'd want to track those to completion, you would be able to bring that into the system and fully customize it to bring it in. That's the beauty of Cognite Flows, is that now we can become the developers and really build this out in a way that's meaningful to the way that we operate. All right. So these are some examples, but like for us, there would have been several other avenues as well that we would have brought into this. I just didn't have that in this demo environment to necessarily showcase that. But the point here being that it's fully integrated. I mean, even just bringing up the observation with the image is related to the observation, which is related to the task within Cognite Infield, and then we can bring it into this application. So from there, if I were to also create a new case, I could create it from numerous different cards. But if I were to create a case from here, now all of this is custom built, where we can say, okay, it's already related to this observation, right? So it tells me where that observation came from. I can link it to other elements as well. So if I wanted to also link it to an SAP item, I could. I've got certain fields that I could capture here within the case itself. And then I can select the different individuals that would be tagged to this case as owners, and then go ahead and create it. I'm not going to go ahead and do that now, but that's how the app works. Then you move on to the fix. So once the case is captured, then you track it to completion. So within here, you've got a fully interactive dashboard, right? Much similar to any BI tools that we leverage. So that was what I was trying to showcase here, is that it has that kind of BI feel to it, but it's interactive, right? So here I can look at, these are my active cases. I've got 2 awaiting review, 1 with an overdue action. So if I click on the ones awaiting for review, much like a BI tool, I could have a tooltip or a pop-up that shows this is what's there. But the difference is that now I can open this and go and edit the case if I wanted to. So I can see it's already gone through intake, investigate, action plan. It's essentially in the review stage, just like it was showing in that card. And I can see it's got some open actions, overdue actions, whatever. I could come here to the overdue actions, saying approved for review. I could go ahead and mark that as complete. Now it'll give me the ability to progress this to close. And now when I go back to my case hub, I can see that immediately I've gone from having 1 waiting in review to going into close. And now it's no longer showing up in my active cases. And then down here, I can go and filter out the other notifications as well if I would like. I'm going to go over to all active cases. And here I have an example. If I open up this case, where if I look at the linked canvas, Cognite has mentioned that they're going to bring in the capability to bring your canvas directly into your Cognite Flows app. I believe that's going to be coming out sometime later in the year, hopefully in the next couple of months. But here you can see that just by coding this out, I can show the elements that are visible within the canvas. And because I couldn't open it directly in here, I would then be able to open out the canvas. I can navigate to that canvas specifically, and then I can see here, these are those cards that were visible within this canvas. So now if I go back, I'm back in my case file, and you can see that these are the 3 elements that were within that case or within that canvas. So again, just showing that very quickly we managed to develop an application that was interlinked to the core data model to pull the available operations. We were able to connect to observations to pull those and the interrelated images, and we're able to connect to Canvas very, very seamlessly. All right, so this would be an application that we would have leveraged. There's a full activity log here as well that shows who has moved what across the different stages, or what activities taken place on the case. So it's fully auditable. And you can go and create findings, you can create actions, you can modify or add participants. All right, so definitely something that we would have leveraged. And on top of that, also having the Atlas AI agent built on top of it, where we can interrogate it, asking, what are the last 5 edits that Jason Harry's made to a case, and it will go and give me a summary of the edits that Jason has made specifically, because now it has that context. But as you can see, I haven't left the application, and that really is the benefit here, is that you're retaining that ecosystem flow where you have that data foundation, and now we can build these apps on top of it that you don't need to exit your way of working to do something. And that's where having those embedded elements, Cognite's going to enable the ability to bring in canvases and charts directly into your application that you publish in Flows. So you can imagine you'd be able to build out charts and then build out some sort of more elaborate dashboard or something like that if you wanted to, where it's more curated, if you will, or if you wanted to have canvases embedded with these types of action trackers or things like that, you'd be able to build that so you could work in the canvas and go assigning actions in a more tailored and customized view, if you will, or be able to track what's being done. So the opportunities there are endless. The other key element that I wanted to showcase real quick is the data model. So here I actually have the data model pulled up that was built first to build the fixed define application on top of that. At the time I called it case management, which is why you see that, but I ended up changing the name to fixed define. But here we now have a fully integrated data model where all the components to the data model are built out. We have the case, the different findings, the participants, transitions, case references, actions, all of that is built out and interrelated, so that you're not just creating a demo, if you will. This is a fully functioning application that has a data foundation that is integrated into Cognite's existing data model. And all of that was built out in 3 days. So hope you like this demo. Look forward to sharing the other demonstrations that I have, but I really hope that this can give you guys some ideas as to where you can take Cognite Flows and how you can envision building on top of the data foundation that you've already spent quite a bit of time and effort, I'm sure, in setting up and getting to work effectively. So thanks for your time, and look forward to getting some comments and the feedback on the future videos as well.